Good morning. So lovely to see you all, and welcome to our May Includability Employer Support Group. Now, I know that we say this every time we come on, but if this is your first time with us on an Includability ESG, then a huge welcome to the family. It's wonderful to have you with us this morning. And of course, to all of our returning community, just brilliant to be by your side as ever. Now, once again, we have a brilliantly inspirational lineup of guest speakers for you across the next hour to help inspire you on your journey in creating a healthier and a more inclusive workplace culture for your business. I'm delighted to be joined by Foong, founder and CEO of B Corp Certified Matchable Volunteering. Hey, Foong. Kaye Moores, the wonderful Kaye Moores, Managing Director of Drum Studios, and Tanya Popeau as well, International Director at the award-winning Synthesis and lecturer in innovation and sustainability at the University of Exeter. Now, as always, before we begin, we'd love you to introduce yourselves on the chat feed. Please do connect with each other and, of course, with our brilliant guest speakers. And don't hesitate to share your LinkedIn profile, of course, if you'd be happy to do so. Our community very much revolves around facilitating great introductions. And of course, there'll be another great opportunity to introduce yourselves in our breakout rooms in just under 20 minutes. Now, important to remember that those breakout rooms are totally optional. So if you'd rather just switch off your camera during that time, just for a few minutes, and make yourself a cup of tea before joining us, then please do feel free to do so. We'll also be sharing various links in the chat feed over the course of the ESG itself, but please don't be shy. If you have an upcoming event or some great news that you'd love to share, then don't hesitate to pop that into the chat feed. We absolutely love shouting about all the incredible work of our includability community. Chris, our lovely comms manager, will be dropping Includability Gold into the chat feed, upcoming events, celebration days, resource links, video links, and of course, supporting with any questions that you might have during the ESG itself. Now, this month, we are introducing a brand new ESG feature, the 2-minute Includability Snapshot, where our very own James Bravato shares a quick rundown from the home of inclusive organizations. James, thanks so much, mate. And the virtual floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. Well, it was going to be a 60-second snapshot, but it'd probably be a 2-minute takeover. Okay, so what we wanted to do was just sort of give you an update on what's kind of gone on in includability this month, and just sort of give you an idea of how kind of busy we are and the things that we're doing. So we got some great announcements. We have 6 new committed employers who have been through the verification process and are now verified and part of the community. That's Montague Evans, Orion Personal Care, Noble Foods, Farrer & Co, Pay Captain, and Doc 10. We have 3 new pending organizations who have who are about to start their journey and go through the verification process in Papyrus Prevention of Young Suicide, a great charity. Please do check them out. World of Books and Hawkeye Cleaning and Support Services, who are obviously, these are all great companies who are starting their journey to become committed employees. We've got new ambassadors in Kim Deverell-Lunn at Ella's Kitchen, Jenna Delaney at the Gym Group, Kaye Moores at Drum, who's with us today, Catherine Rabonteur at Empower Agency, Rachel Weaven at Face to Face HR. Please do check them out on our ambassador page on the website. Now, new articles. We have got a great article on the Ultimate Financial Planning Guide for LGBTQIA plus couples by Cherry Ann Baxter Blythe at Unividual. Great company if you're looking for sort of financial planning information, and they're absolutely brilliant committed employer of ours. A new What is Pride to go with Pride Month that's coming up in June, with contributions from Joanne Monk, Katie Neves, Chris Allen, Sarah Matthews. Bit of an ongoing article, this one. So if you want to put in a contribution, or you'd like to put a quote in it, please do. And then a quick guide to Mental Health Awareness Week. Obviously, it was Mental Health Awareness Week this month, and Michael Lloyd and Chris put together an amazing guide that's a very quick guide to sort of Mental Health Awareness Week and what it makes. New benefits. We've got a lifestyle card, which whether you have 1 or 10,000 employees, the lifestyle card is a free discount card for your team, totally free. Please do go and check it out. New videos. We've got Kaye's video, which obviously she's on today as well, which is brilliant. So we're really working Kaye hard this month. We have brand new Includability hoodies. So if you would like a hoodie, you can order one. If we get enough people who would like a hoodie, you will be able to order one. We've got in the new client area. If you haven't already signed up to the client area, please do check it out. There is so much information in there. But the one thing that we're super excited about is the Renew Rewards section that we built in there, which allows you to collect your Includability committed employer points and redeem then against B1 G1 projects which support the UN SDGs, all just by being an active member of Includability. If we haven't done so already, we'll be updating your reward points over the coming days. Last but not least, it is survey time. So if you want to have your say about what happens on Includability and how it works and what we're going to do in the future, please do jump into that survey and make sure you fill it in. It really is important to us that we get proper feedback and understand what we're doing well and where we can improve. Back to Dave.
James, you're absolutely brilliant. Thanks so much, mate. Incredible. Definitely my favorite feature so far that we've enjoyed this year. I love a 2-minute wonder. Thank you so much, mate. And of course, any further information that you need at any point around Includability, or perhaps to chat through how your business can become an Includability committed employer, joining the most incredible community on the planet, then you have me, you have James, and of course you have Danny, our partnerships manager, totally available for you. Anything we can do to support you, please do just let us know, and we are there for you all the way. And now for our very first guest speaker, I'm delighted to introduce the amazing Foong, founder and CEO at Matchable Volunteering, voted top 100 Asian stars in UK tech, a Computer Weekly Rising Star, and of course, one of our wonderful Includability ambassadors. Foong, so lovely to have you with us as always, and the virtual floor is yours.
Thanks so much, Dave and James. I definitely would love a hoodie. I feel like I should have worn my Matchable one, so it could be matching, but we don't have pink, we have blue only. But yeah, no, thank you so much for having me today. And it's so lovely to meet everyone here. I really love the Includability community. Everyone is so wonderful and lovely. It's an honor to be speaking to you all today. Just to introduce myself, after that, hopefully living up to the expectations of that big Dave intro. I'm Foong. I'm the founder of a company called Matchable. And what we specialize in doing is we're a tech platform that matches teams at companies to volunteering opportunities at nonprofits, so charities, social enterprises, and also at impact startups. So I thought what I'd do today, but obviously Dave can time me and make sure I stop talking at the right time, is introduce Matchable and, kind of how we came about, but also kind of the problem that we're really trying to solve. And then tell you a little bit more about what volunteering could look like. So we always say we are revolutionizing volunteering. I know, a massively overused word, but hopefully we'll be able to tell you a little bit more about what volunteering could look like, kind of nowadays. It might have evolved maybe a little bit since the days of kind of fence painting. And then if we have time at the end, I thought I'd just kind of give you all a few examples of some of our most kind of popular projects, really, just to illustrate everything. But of course, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and we can pick them up after or in Q&A. I'm sure we'll have hopefully a bit of time. But yeah, so just to explain a little bit more about Matchable. So we've now been around for 5 years, which is crazy to think about. But we were originally incubated, actually, and are still partly owned by 8 of the UK's largest charities. So that includes the British Heart Foundation, the British Red Cross, the Royal National Institute for the Blind, the Royal British Legion, etc. And actually what happened was the innovation teams at all of these great charities came together because they wanted to solve a specific problem they were seeing in the market, which was that there was a growing number of companies offering employees paid volunteering time. So like 1 day a year, or, we've seen up to unlimited days. And that was because obviously, companies want to showcase their values now, but also the kind of millennial and Gen Z population really want to give back as part of their day-to-day job. So that's really great. And actually the latest stat is that 86% of companies now do offer their teams paid volunteering time, which is amazing. However, one of the kind of problems they were seeing was that often the utilization of those days would end up being very low. And I don't know if anyone has experienced this already, but it usually tends to be around the kind of 10%-ish. And well, it's kind of, you know, quite a sad state of affairs. But the main reason they actually found for this wasn't because people didn't want to volunteer, but it's actually for two reasons. The first thing was that the onus of organising all of the volunteering would often sit with employees themselves. As you all know, everyone is very busy with their day jobs, and, you know, kind of going on Google, finding a charity that really resonates with you or your team can take a lot of research. The other thing is when you reach out to charity to kind of set up your volunteering day or volunteering project, it can take 2 to 3 months to even hear back from them because they themselves are very kind of under capacity. So by the time you have your volunteering day sorted out, often what will happen is, you know, people kind of, you know, the time will have basically passed to do your volunteering. People have lost momentum. Not everyone can make it on the day. And therefore, no one uses their volunteering time. So that was one of the things. But the second thing that we actually found was a bit of a blocker was that it felt like there was no immediate impact. So when you think of traditional volunteering projects, you know, you might think of, you're not kind of going somewhere, weeding a charity's garden, fence painting, that kind of stuff. Amazing for team bonding, doing something together in the outdoors. That's all really great. But often for the charity themselves, they will often have had a team very similar to you come maybe a month before and paint exactly the same fence. So not super impactful for them. And obviously they, you know, have a whole bunch of other things where they could use skills-based kind of volunteering to make an impact, a much bigger impact for them. And then on the other side, with the employees as well, you know, often painting the fence, weeding, really cool to do something different from your day job, but also it isn't the day job. And therefore, it means that, you know, sometimes you're not as connected, not as engaged. And then, you know, you come away and you're kind of like, what was the actual impact I made that day? So the whole idea behind kind of the idea behind Matchable and what volunteering could look like in the 21st century was to kind of really kind of reimagine this to fit within what, you know, your team and your employee and your workforce, you know, currently looks like. So what I thought I'd mention were a few different things or, you know, kind of ways that you can do volunteering now that maybe could, you know, help trigger some thoughts when you're organising your next volunteering day with your team. So the first thing I wanted to mention is that actually volunteering projects can be done now in as little as 30 minutes. So some people refer to it as micro-volunteering, which is really cool. But basically, you can now fit it into your schedule. I know everyone's super busy, and actually you can do it during your lunch break, which is really cool. Between meetings, we even have people who do it, you know, kind of on the go as well. I could give you an example of one of those in a minute. So that's one thing that's quite cool about the new way of volunteering. The second thing is that actually a lot of projects can now be done fully remotely. So, you know, with everyone moving to hybrid work, remote first, globally dispersed teams, we've seen a lot of projects that now can be accessed from anywhere. And actually what's really cool about remote-based projects as well is that, you know, if you had a team member who was based in the US who wanted to buddy up with someone in the UK and do something as a team, a group volunteering project together, they can actually do that virtually now as well. So really great for accessibility, of course, as well. Not everyone is always able to kind of go out and do something manual or physical locally. So that's the second thing that's kind of a bit new around the voluntary space. The third thing I just wanted to mention is the fact that now, you know, there's tech is so amazing. You can actually tailor your volunteering projects to each of your teams really easily. So for us, for example, the way we do that is we have a 60-second quiz where employees come in, fill out the causes they care about, skills they have, interests they have, time they have available, skills they want to learn. And then we will match them to projects that actually fit their skill sets so that the project is for them really personal, really engaging, and maybe is a step away from, necessarily your, charity partner that you've chosen as a company to fundraise for. But it feels very personal, of course, and often it also means that people are a lot more engaged. So that's the third thing. And then the kind of two more things that hopefully Dave will allow me to mention. Sometimes I can talk too much. Oh, I'm still doing well. Okay, cool. So the next thing I just wanted to mention was also the fact that, often with volunteering, people think of sort of manual labor, but actually, skills-based volunteering is an incredible way to give back. It's incredibly impactful for the charities and the impact organizations and nonprofits, impact startups that you might be volunteering for, because often they actually cannot afford the amazing skill sets that you guys would bring. So and the one thing actually that we always do here at Matchable is actually ensure that we always start with the needs of the organization themselves. So that any project you're picking is really making a huge impact for them. But on the other side, it really maximizes the impact for the volunteer as well. Because, with skills-based, you're using your skills, obviously, but also in a completely new but also safe environment. So it's incredibly, kind of great for upskilling, building confidence, testing your skills, building new skills, and then bringing all of those skills back to the company, but also feeling more engaged and more, energized when you come back to work as well. And then the last thing I just wanted to mention was one of the things that we love doing here is actually going out to find really impactful, really innovative startups and charities and social enterprises that are doing something really at the forefront of change. One of the incredible things about tech and AI and all that great stuff that can be a bit scary at the moment, but actually is amazing, is that, a lot of the organizations now that you'll find that are trying to solve really global causes, sustainability, mental health, homelessness, etc., are using tech to make an impact not just locally, but on a global scale. And it's incredible the scope and range that can have. So, we actually specifically go out to incubators, startup accelerators to find the most innovative tech for goods, so that people can really make a big impact when they volunteer through our projects. But also for your teams, it's a really amazing way to see, how technology is being used, what, businesses of the future really are doing at the moment, and kind of get in front of a lot of those trends as well. So clearly gotten carried away. So the last thing I wanted to kind of segue into was, obviously I've talked a lot in terms of sort of facts, but I wanted to illustrate this with an example if I have time. One of the most popular projects we currently have on the platform is actually one from Missing Maps. And I don't know if anyone has ever done this project, but it is amazing. So what you do is often what happens in disaster areas is that, when you take satellite photos of those areas, for example, we've got one, there's been floods across the Congo since November last year. Those floods have wiped out a whole bunch of, kind of mapping, and you get these aerial photos that are taken, and you basically go in and remap where the roads were, where the buildings are, so that people who are literally on the ground at that moment delivering aid can actually find the right places to go to deliver that aid in real life. This project, it takes 30 minutes. You go online, you watch a video on how to map, and you get mapping straight away. You can do it on your own or in a group, and you can do it from home. And it's so impactful, so immediately kind of rewarding. It's been one of our kind of big hitters at Matchable here. Anyway, so I'll end on that note, because I know I could talk for ages. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'll drop my LinkedIn in the chat as well.
Foong, you are absolutely awesome. Thank you so much. And I think I can speak on behalf of so many of us here where we are slightly besotted with Matchable and your brilliant mission. Wonderful examples, and so appreciative not only of your guidance, of course, on the value of volunteering and the positive impact that that can have in supporting workplace culture, but also for sharing your wonderful story as well. Foong, I love you, massively appreciate you and all of your time with us this morning. Thank you so, so much. And as we all now come back in, I'm delighted to introduce our second guest speaker, the brilliant Kaye, Managing Director of the award-winning Drum Studios, our go-to digital accessibility guru, and another of our fantastic includability ambassadors. Kaye, it's wonderful to have you with us as always, and the virtual floor is yours when you're ready.
Thanks, Dave. What an introduction, eh? So thanks so much for letting me join today. I'm Kaye, and I'm MD of Drum, which is a digital media agency that creates sustainable, accessible digital media. And we founded in 2006, so we're 18 years old, which is quite crazy when I look 21. But hey, before we start, I will share my screen, but just to give a visual description for people who need it. I'm a white female with a blonde asymmetrical haircut, and I'm currently wearing a green top, and my pronouns are she and her. Just before I kick off, just to be clear, I've had a couple of brain injuries, so sometimes I can forget words, lose my train of thought, or slur. So just bear with me if that happens, but I'm sure it's early and I've had lots of coffees, so I'm sure I'll be fine. Right. I don't know whether I'm sharing or not. Am I sharing? No. I'm not sharing, am I? See, this is the problem. Give someone like this. There we go. Right. I think I might be cooking on gas.
Hey, that's perfect. We've got you.
Wonderful. Okay. I was asked to join today just because in May we saw Global Accessibility Awareness Day on the 13th of May, and it's the 13th year that it's been running. And the purpose of the day is to get everyone talking, thinking, and learning about digital accessibility and inclusion to the 1 billion people currently in the world with a disability or impairment. So, according to the latest estimates from the Department of Work and Pensions, there's 16 million disabled people currently in the UK, which is about 24% of the population. So it's really a big topic. So why should you be accessible? I mean, obviously it's a kind of human right and the right thing to do. But alongside that, you've got the purple pound. So that is the spending power of disabled people and their households in the UK. And it's currently estimated to be worth 274 billion per year to UK businesses. And there's also the click away pound. And this is where people abandon the retail website because of the barriers they found, taking with them an estimated spend of 17.1 billion globally. So from a business perspective, accessibility pays for itself. From a brand loyalty perspective, you've got to remember that 75% of disabled people have walked away from a UK business because of poor accessibility. And people aren't born with their disability. People acquire disabilities, and 2% of the working age population become disabled every year. And 78% of disabled people acquired their disability age 16 or older. So if you, like myself, acquire a disability, you can only stay loyal to a brand if they're accessible to you once you acquire that that disability. Otherwise, brand loyalty goes, and then you move on. From an HR perspective, to get diverse talent, there's no such thing as inclusion, really, an inclusive workforce without having accessibility. And then finally, big topic, sustainability. We all know the big problem, and we need to be educating 100% of people to be really making a difference. So it's a no-brainer, as they say. So accessibility is not just for the disabled. Lots of people make that assumption, but it's actually for lots of people. And on the screen, I've got a few. But let's look at like aging population or non-native speakers. And then the thing to consider is there's 3 types of disabilities that might mean you need accessibility. And they are if a permanent disability, a temporary disability, or a situational disability. So I'm just going to give a couple of examples. So let's look at a permanent disability. I have no use of my left arm. That is no different than someone with perhaps an upper limb loss. So that's called a permanent disability. But actually, the temporary side of that is someone with a broken arm. They require the same accessibility. And then a situational disability of that would be perhaps a breastfeeding mum who's only got one hand free. So actually, if you build for the permanent, it filters down to the temporary and then the situational. Another example is, let's say, you're deaf. So obviously that would be the permanent disability, but temporarily you could have an ear infection. Situationally, you could be in a busy office or train and have lots of noise in the background, and therefore rely on closed captions or subtitles. Let's look at low vision. So again, temporary, that could be someone purely waiting for a cataract operation, or a situational being looking at a phone outside in bright sunlight and that glares on your screen. So really, the thing to think about is the curb cut effect, which is the phenomenon that a disability friendly feature becomes used and appreciated by the larger group of people than the people they're originally designed for. So it came from the saying of literally, your drop curve on your pavement. That was made for wheelchair users. However, people with push chairs or delivery trolleys or bicycles all now use it and appreciate that. Your voice assistants, such as your Alexas, etc., they were originally made for people who were blind, but now we all use them because we realise how useful they are. Your electric toothbrush was originally made for users with motor control issues, but again, we all use them because it saves brushing so much. Captions were originally made for the deaf, but we all appreciate them. Predictive text was used for people with cognition or dyslexia. We all love the fact that it tells us how to spell something. And then even what you're using today. So the typewriter was originally created by a man whose wife became deaf and they couldn't communicate to each other. So he invented the typewriter so that they could type to each other. And then from that, we all use the computer. So there's just a few examples. There's millions more, but these show you that if you design for one, you extend to many. So what's on the horizon, I think, is a good thing to talk about. So there's obviously lots and lots of B Corps on the call. Now B Corp have a proposed criteria for having an accessible website now as part of their JEDI options. So that will help you with your points and your scores. But also, this is really quite important. The European Accessibility Act comes into force in June 2025. So any products or services that are sold to people in the EU must be fully accessible to AA standards by that date. Otherwise, you'll be fined. So you could say, well, we're out of the EU thanks to Brexit in the UK, but actually, if you supply to anyone in the EU, regardless of where you're based, you have to be compliant. So those are two quite big topics, and I can't cover it all. So any questions, reach out to me on LinkedIn, and we can have a kind of separate chat about that one, because I appreciate how scary that might sound. So why am I here today? It's to talk to you about social media. So we spend 2.5 hours every day on average on social media. So I've come with 5 simple tips that anyone can address to ensure that everybody can join in on the conversation online. So let's look at hashtags. Make sure you place these at the bottom of your post, because in sentences they can cause misunderstanding for users with cognition issues. But to be honest, I think it just breaks up the paragraph and meaning for everyone. Use camel case or Pascal case on your hashtags, which basically means to capitalize the first letter of each word. So this makes sure that users with neurological impairments or learning disabilities and even screen readers understand the correct meaning of your hashtag. So I've done 3 examples here, and the first one, we've got to ask ourselves, are we slaughtering these hyenas, or is it a hyena's laughter? And you can see by just not putting that capital letter how it can be read differently. The second one is the classic hashtag that probably everyone remembers, the album rather than the bum party. And the last one is, are we experts exchanging tips, or are we talking about sex change? So as you can see, by just not putting in that letter, meaning can be so badly interpreted. So emojis, we love them. Many people prefer to use an emoji rather than words to express their emotions, because, well, it's hard to express emotions, really, isn't it, in written words? But make sure you use emojis sparingly and place them at the end of the sentences, not in the middle. Otherwise, with screen readers, it can make 0 sense in the middle as it reads out the alt text. Plus, sometimes screen reader users can get stuck in an emoji loop. So, sorry, guys, I'm just going to play an example from one of your posts just to see what everyone thinks.
Police car revolving light. Our February employer support group is around the corner, 2 hands raised in celebration. Police car revolving light. This free event features the very best of the Includability community, red heart, and is absolutely not to be missed, yellow heart.
So as you can see, when it's in the middle, it does make it really hard. So another thing to remember is we don't need three emojis. So let's say clapping hands. 3 claps would be read out as clapping hands, clapping hands, clapping hands, which is just tedious to listen to. Definitely don't use them as bullet points, because that can cause overwhelming sensory issues for some users. And another thing to check is most often emojis look great in light mode on your digital device. However, it's important to check how your emoji you want to display looks in dark mode, because a lot of people prefer dark mode now for sustainability reasons. Sorry, guys, it's another example of yours, but this example doesn't have the emoji in the middle, and I hope you'll hear now it's much clearer.
Sparkles. Includability shines with second-year Planet Mark certification. Trophy, globe showing Europe and Africa. We're overjoyed to share our exciting news. Includability has achieved Planet Mark certification for the 2nd consecutive year. Party popper, branch with leaves.
Yeah, it was much clearer. The next thing I want to talk about is color contrast. So if you put copy in your images, just make sure they're high enough contrast. So this example by Robinson's, it is below what it needs to be from an accessibility perspective. And then these 3 examples also have, I'm not even sure whether you can see it, but all 3 have light copy at the top. So for color contrast, aim for a ratio of 4:5:1 for your smaller text and 3:1 on your larger text. There's so many free tools online to do this. So they're all free, all simple. You just literally drop the color and it'll tell you if it passes. So it's a 2-second job after you've created to check it works. Plus, also, if you use Figma or Adobe, they have plugins built in. So again, it can check before you hit export. Another thing to consider is make sure your images have alt tags. You need to balance these with being short but descriptive. So too often images have embedded copy, like this example from Stephen Bartlett, which basically says, read this, like this post if you agree, but agree to what? Because this representation is what it's like to read this post as a blind user, and you can't agree if you can't see the image. If you do need something longer and more descriptive, then put an image ID. So that is just writing image ID and what it is in your post itself. The gold standard is ideally use both, because some people don't have plugins to read the alt text. Don't worry about including image of. We see this a lot, but screen readers typically indicate to the user that this item is an image, so it's not needed. Again, there's a misconception that alt text is just for blind users, and actually it's for users with all visual impairment. So these examples here just show what exactly the same post says, but with blurred vision or double vision, or waiting for a cataracts operation, or having an eye infection, or having a blind spot. There's so many variants on vision. So, and I think the biggest thing I could say here is just try and, this is a perfect time to inject your brand personality, include, get the right tone, include humor. You've chosen that image for a reason, because it means something to you. So just put that same meaning in your alt text so that users with vision issues get the same brand experience. And then lastly, what I want to talk to you about is captions. So, video is so popular and it's one of the best marketing tools. But something you need to remember is that 85% of people engage with social media videos with the sound switched off. So obviously you need to make sure you include captions. You could be in a busy train or office, like I said earlier, and actually you just can't have the volume up loud. So you're relying purely on what the captions say. But again, going back to the design for one extend to many, we've got to remember that captions were an accessibility tool, or they are an accessibility tool. But over time, we've started, like this example showing branded, animated, single words at a time with embellished fonts that are so hard to kind of keep up with, especially if, say, something else goes on in the background. So keep them to off black and white, use a simple sans serif font, and keep it lowercase so that everyone can join in. And oh, I've lost my screen. And that's it. So any questions at all, just shout, because accessibility seems like it's really scary big topic, and it is a big topic, but it's just about making a start that journey now with little things you can do, and then over time it gets embedded in your organization that you think about it. So you start your journey now and think of progress, not perfection.
Hey, you are absolutely amazing. That was the most incredible presentation. And exactly as you say, I think you are the most amazing person for just helping to take away the fear from what can seem an incredibly daunting process in making particularly social media accessible. James mentioned this earlier. Kaye recorded a fantastic includability short video for us earlier this month around her social media accessibility hot tips. It is absolutely brilliant and so worth a watch. Chris, I know, is popping that link into the chat feed for you now, but also as someone who absolutely loves an emoji, I have learned so much from Kaye. James made a wonderful point earlier. We grow and we learn all the time. I know I'm absolutely rubbish, but thank goodness I'm surrounded by incredible ambassadors, amazing people within the includability community who can help show us all the way. So, Kaye, thank you again. You're just brilliant. And we love you very much. It's been amazing to see you as always. As you cast your votes, I'm delighted to introduce our final guest speaker, the brilliant Tanya Popeau, International Director at the award-winning Synthesis, lecturer in Innovation and Sustainability at the University of Exeter, and previously a United Nations consultant who was supporting agencies around the world to design innovative solutions to address global challenges and enhance sustainable development. I'll be honest with you all, I've seen worse CVs. So much love for Tanya and the amazing work she does with businesses in designing sustainable projects that drive genuine impact. Tanya, it's wonderful to see you as always. And the virtual floor is yours when you're ready.
Thank you so much. Great to be here again. It's like returning home. What an incredible community. I'd also like to just express my amazement for the first two speakers. Foong, I love the examples you were giving of innovation, and the mapping was incredible. And Kaye, I can't see you on the screen. I've lost you on my screen. But I've been taking notes. Absolutely incredible, and really, really resonates with the work that I do. So yeah, really, I've just sat here kind of listening, hanging on every word. Great to be here with you all. I just wanted to focus on some of the key challenges that businesses are focusing around sustainability. So just to talk about the, kind of 5-6 challenges that businesses are focused on, and hope this really resonates with you. So number one is really around compliance. We know that for a very long time, the sustainability community has been begging for more measurements, more reporting, more accountability, so that businesses have to be focusing on social and environmental impact as well as profit. We know that that legislation is here now, and we have pendulum swung the other way, and we know that businesses are deluged with legislation. ESG legislation compliance is actually become a real issue. The time and resources spent on data capture and reporting means that it's actually hindering some of the larger action and hindering companies in their ability to actually spend the time, money on driving change. So I think many of you will know that international legislation is coming this year, and it means that for the first time next year, all of the larger companies have to publicly disclose their ESG data. This is fantastic in the way that we'll measure their ESG performance alongside their financial performance. But at the same time, we know that we need to pendulum swing a bit more into the range where companies are released and have time to really drive change. So that's the number one kind of complaint I hear from working across large companies. The other issue is really around economic recovery, and really touching on something that Kaye talked about. We know that companies are still focused on recovering from the pandemic. They're focused on driving change. They're focused on driving profit, and they don't see sustainability as a means or as a focus of driving growth. They see it as a risk. They see it as a burden. They see it as something they need to comply with. And brilliant stats. I couldn't have come at a better time when Kaye showed you the purple pound. She talked about the click away pound. Companies aren't aware that if they were to actually embed sustainability into their business model, into their products and services, or develop new products and services that drive profit as well as change, that actually stand themselves in better stead. Sustainability is not a burden. I think I'm preaching to the choir on this call, but it's not a burden. It is another space to innovate. It is another space to drive profit. And I know that sustainability officers aren't quite getting the ear of the chief financial officers because they are just focused on profit. So that's the second major issue I see around sustainability, and hopefully that changes as more of us start to focus in this area. The third point is really around capability. I think within organisations, staff members are aware of the basics, but really understanding what it takes to drive change, really understanding what it takes to drive sustainability and embed this in our business model is something different. So most companies are still focused on that CSR model, where we drive profit over here on the left-hand side, and then we do a little bit of work on charities on the right-hand side to offset what we do, instead of combining it in everything they do, so that actually pound for pound, they're driving profit and driving change. Many companies don't believe this is possible. And again, if you look at the examples that Kaye has given, from designing for one that extended for many, the opportunities are infinite. If I could, really emphasize one point, it's really that focusing on sustainability allows for growth, revenue, and profit driving opportunities. Again, this is being missed out and lost by lots of companies. But the capability, that the focus on capability means that many staff don't have the power to innovate and the power to develop new areas, new products, new services. So I think what we really need to do is drive home the innovation opportunities here. The fourth point is really around the point that we cannot do this alone. Traditionally, brands have been competing against each other. If we are going to drive innovation across companies, we know that we need to talk to all of our stakeholders, our employees, our suppliers, and our clients. It's not just around data capture, but it's really around designing new supply chains, which drive social impact, positive social impact. Instead of focusing on our human rights issues, we need to address these human rights issues and also the environmental issues too. But the only way to do this is collaboration. There's lots of talking, there's lots of alliances, but there isn't enough active collaboration designing together. We need new business models, new value chains, new supply chains that are sustainability coherent, if we say. And that is a real issue that companies are facing. The fifth point is really around consumer education. We talk about the say-do gap or the intention-action gap. So we know that consumer trends state that, Gen Z up to, some of our more mature demographics all care about sustainability, be it social impact or environmental impact. However, when they get to the checkout, we're seeing something different. Obviously, the cost of crisis, living crisis impacts this. However, some of it is really around consumer education. So if we look at, for example, fashion, and I'm not going to name and shame, but some of the large global fashion brands that are on the cheaper price point, we actually know that some of the largest demographics are middle-class women who have disposable incomes, but they're still choosing some of these cheaper fashion points. And I think if we really understood the human rights abuses that were taking place in these supply chains, we might see something different. But consumer education means that lots of people are just in the dark. I think people just associate sustainability with still burning forests and flooding that isn't going to impact everybody. And so there's a real movement around really emphasizing human rights issues, which would or hopefully influence consumer spending at a greater level. And my final point is around a title and article that I saw the other day, which said sustainability is a team sport. And we know it's going to take a collaborative effort. And I believe, am I right in saying that Includability looks after Liverpool Football Club? Is that right? Or they're a part of the community? And I would be absolute remiss it would be remiss of me not to mention the outgoing football club manager, Jurgen Klopp. What a brilliant demonstration of somebody who is focused on leadership, innovation, strategy, changed the game, but also drove positive social change in the local community of Liverpool, but also on a global platform. If we had more leadership in the sustainability movement like Jurgen Klopp, we would be well on our way. And that's really it from me from an update.
Tanya, you're amazing. Thank you so much. Incredible presentation. And even as a Spurs fan, I can also appreciate the brilliance of Jurgen Klopp and all of the amazing work that he's done at Liverpool. Tanya, forgive me, before we let you go, you're working on some incredible projects at the moment. Would you be happy to share with us and tell us a little bit about the work that you're currently doing as well?
If I think back to some of my recent larger projects, I've just worked with the UN Global Compact, and we had 15 businesses in the room. So we had, Lego was amongst them, NatWest was amongst them, mining companies, touching on the point of collaboration. There is no way through by simply working by ourselves. And as I said, what we have traditionally are alliances and people talking around tables, talking about what we need to do to make change, but we don't have enough active collaboration and opportunities to really innovatively design together to develop new products, new services, new ways of being. And that's the model that I effectively work on. So I've just had 15 businesses in the room, really working alongside the UN Global Compact. And we chose 4 or 5 different main challenges. So some of it was focused on exactly raising human rights issues within supply chains. Some of it was focused on overproduction in food, the food industry. And these 15 companies came together and they deconstructed the challenge, and then designed together to develop new innovations which really address these challenges. So the feedback was tremendous. They talked about the opportunity just to work with completely different people. Some of them would be competitors, but this time they're coming together to collaborate on a kind of global scale. They talked about the opportunity to share their experiences, learn from each other, and effectively design with each other. And this was all done in a very short space of time. And what was produced was very highly viable, innovative solutions. So it was great to see them all collaborate and see, you know, the end result. And we effectively know that this works, and more of this is needed if we are going to achieve the SDGs and drive global change.
Tanya, you are simply amazing. Thank you as always. And please, if you would like to access some incredible, and I mean incredible, consultative support around sustainable action for your business, then please do book in a call with Tanya. She is just phenomenal. And Tanya, thank you again for all of your time this morning. It's just wonderful to see you as always. And a hot date for your diaries, thank you, is our next employee support group. And that will be happening on Wednesday, the 26th of June at 10:30 a.m., where we'll be hosting 4 new fantastic guest speakers as we approach the Euro 2024 tournament, including Michelle Dorgan, the head of marketing and communications for women in football, Nicole Allison, the owner of Worcester City Women's Football Club, and our very own Matt Locke, Includability Wellbeing Verification Partner, founder of B Corp Certified Outliers Wellbeing, and athlete service manager for our wonderful Includability sports setting partners at Switch the Play Foundation. Please do join us. We would love to see you there. And that registration link will be popping in the chat feed for you in just a little moment. Thank you so much, Chris. And that brings us to the end of our ESG this morning. What an ESG, incredible lineup. A huge thank you to our wonderful and utterly inspirational guest speakers, to Foong, to Kaye, and Tanya. What unbelievable legends you all are. And thank you for all of your insights and, of course, for sharing your wisdom with us today. And from James, Chris, Danny, Patrick, myself, and the whole team at Includability and Disrupt Agency, a huge, huge thank you to every single one of you for joining us this morning. Let's keep working in partnership to develop that mentally healthy and inclusive workplace culture. We can't wait to see you all next month. Love to you all, and have an incredible rest of your week. Take care, everyone.